Welcome to The Explainer. All right, today we are tackling a really fascinating survival question, one of those hypotheticals you've probably kicked around with friends. If you were forced to eat only one food for the rest of your life, which one would actually keep you alive the longest?
So let's just dive right in with a challenge. Imagine this. For some crazy reason, you have to pick just one single food item. That's it. That's your only source of nutrition forever. Which one are you going to bet your entire life on?
Okay, here are your 5 contenders. Are you going with the delicious instant energy of chocolate? Or maybe the sensible fibrous choice, oatmeal? How about the pure, raw power of beef? The tropical, do-it-all coconut? Or the humble, unassuming potato? Think about it and lock in your choice. We're about to put them all to the test.
But hang on, before we find out if your choice was a stroke of genius or, well, a fatal mistake, we need to lay down the rules of the game. These aren't my rules. These are the non-negotiable, biological demands your body makes just to keep you going every single day.
You see, for any single food to even have a chance of sustaining you long-term, it has to cover all its bases. We're talking complete proteins with all 9 essential amino acids, the building blocks of you. It needs carbs and fats for fuel and to keep your hormones in check. It's got to have a whole host of critical vitamins and minerals, like vitamin C and B12. And of course, you need fiber and water to keep the whole system running smoothly. It's a tall order for any one food.
Now that we know what we're looking for, it is time for the elimination round. Let's see which of our 5 contenders gets knocked out first.
And our first contender to fall is chocolate. No big surprise there, right? Day 1 is amazing. It's an absolute pleasure bomb, a rush of energy and feel-good dopamine. But just a few weeks in, that dream turns into a nightmare. You're trapped in a cycle of brutal sugar highs followed by these crushing lows, mood swings, and just constant fatigue. A few months down the line, your body is in full-scale rebellion. With no meaningful protein and virtually zero essential vitamins, you're on a fast track to severe malnutrition and a host of diseases. A sweet ride, but a very, very short one.
Okay, next up, oatmeal. Now, this one feels like a much smarter, more responsible choice. It gives you that nice, stable energy and plenty of fiber. But after a few weeks, a really critical flaw starts to show. You see, oatmeal's protein isn't complete. And, even more importantly, it contains absolutely zero vitamin B12, a nutrient your body needs for healthy blood and nerves. So months later, the results are pretty grim. Anemia kicks in, your muscles start to waste away, and your bones become fragile. It's a much slower decline than chocolate for sure, but it is a steady fade to black.
So what about beef? On day 1, this looks like the ultimate survival food. It's just packed with complete proteins, iron, and that all-important vitamin B12 we just talked about. For weeks, you'd probably feel fantastic, strong, full of energy, but there's a silent killer lurking in the background. Beef has no vitamin C at all. So after a few months, you'd find yourself developing a disease straight out of the history books, scurvy. Just like an old-world sailor. We're talking bleeding gums, loose teeth, wounds that just won't heal. The carnivore's choice ends in a historic curse.
Now for our 4th contender, the coconut. This one really shows the difference between a survival myth and cold, hard reality. It seems like a miracle food, right? It gives you water, healthy fats, and fiber, but that desert island dream quickly becomes a nutritional fantasy. The protein in coconuts is incomplete, and it's seriously lacking in key nutrients like iron and B12. So within a few months, you'd be looking at anemia and significant muscle loss. Yeah, you'd survive for a little while, but you definitely wouldn't be thriving.
So, chocolate, oatmeal, beef, and coconut have all been eliminated. Each one had a fatal flaw. This leaves us with just one unlikely champion, the humble survivor of our little challenge.
That's right. The simple, boring, often overlooked potato is the last food standing. I mean, who would have guessed? Against all odds, it turns out to be the most nutritionally complete food of the 5.
So what's the potato's secret? How did it beat everyone else? Well, beyond giving you steady, stable energy from its carbs, its protein is surprisingly high quality. In fact, it contains all the essential amino acids you need. It's also packed with vitamin C, so no scurvy, and tons of potassium. It's a nutritional profile so surprisingly robust that it has actually been proven to sustain human life for months at a time.
And get this isn't just a fun theory. A guy actually did it. Back in 2010, Chris Voigt, who was the head of the Washington State Potato Commission, ate nothing but potatoes for 60 straight days. And the result? He lost weight, and his cholesterol and blood pressure actually improved. It's a pretty powerful real-world test case.
So,
Okay, does this mean we should all immediately switch to an all-potato diet? Is that the secret? Well, not so fast, because the true winner of this whole challenge isn't a single food at all.
Just take a look at the final scorecard. It really paints a clear picture. Every single food, even our champion, had a fatal flaw. Chocolate was all flash, no substance. Oatmeal was missing B12. Beef had no vitamin C. Coconut's protein just wasn't enough. And even the potato, as good as it is still lacking in certain fats and vitamins that you absolutely need for long-term health.
And this gets us to the most important lesson of this entire thought experiment. Monotony is malnutrition. Relying on any single food, no matter how perfect it seems on paper, will eventually, inevitably, lead to critical deficiencies and serious health problems.
You know, we saw a really dramatic, real-world example of this in that famous documentary Super Size Me. Remember? Morgan Spurlock ate nothing but McDonald's for 30 days. Now, you could argue he was eating complete meals, meat, bread, veggies, but that extreme lack of real nutritional variety had absolutely devastating effects on his health, everything from liver damage to severe mood swings.
So what's the big takeaway here? How does this little survival game apply to your actual life, your actual diet?
The real winner isn't the potato. The true secret to health, to survival, to thriving isn't about finding that one magical superfood. It's about balance. It's about diversity. It's about eating a wide variety of different foods that all work together to give your body the whole, complete package of everything it needs to function at its best. All right, so let's end this with a much more fun question. Taking survival and nutrition completely off the table, if you had to pick just one food to eat for the rest of your life, based on nothing but pure enjoyment and taste, what would you choose? I'll let you think about that one. Thanks for tuning in.